20 million. And now said, how much did they put the whole conference together?
So it's not that I don't want to charge. I have things to do. I just told you $2,000 for strings. My children go to school and they don't tell me come and sing Onisha Yanu. In fact, when I go there, the school uses me for advert. They say Nathaniel Bassey comes here, two of the children. Then people go there because we come there, but I still pay the school fees.
Look at the music, those who they used to call the music ministers. They act like the world. Is that what you want them to teach your people? We allowed it for a long time. We allowed it for a long time until the Lord instructed me not only to stop it, but to let God's people know it's got to stop.
So currently there seems to be a call out on ministers who charge super expensive fees and charges when approached to come minister with their team. Although there haven't been any sort of public major apostolic confrontation about this kind of business approach to music until Apostle Michael Orokpo himself encountered one of this kind, and it really pissed him off.
How can you say you are a psalmist and then you now have 7 backup singers? You have uniform, you are traveling on business class, charging people 5 million to come and perform. It's actually performance. The other day they told me one was charging 20 million. And now said, how much did they put the whole conference together? If they have to give you 20 million for coming to sing for 10 minutes, even God knows that some of us will not make that mistake. Because I know God does not hear melody. God hears spirit. And if there's no spirit in you, there's nothing here.
But that was not all. Moments later, a different son to Apostle Arome Osayi, Prophet Joel Okebe, came into the picture as well, saying this.
I know a man of God, a mentor, who invited one of the gospel musicians, they are gospel musicians, not ministers. And what this guy called, I think it's 5 million naira. How much should the guest speaker, the priest, who they brought to minister, how much will it take? How much does it cost to organize the whole program? How much did they spend? We've traveled to programs where I'll be the one to pay for all my men. And then we'll go there, come back, we won't take 1 naira from them. Nobody anywhere can say, I invited Prophet Joel and he told me that before I come, give us this money. I go there sometime, I'm the one who is paying the hotel bill for them. I can proudly say that. I know this thing, when it comes out, they will hate it. But I won't apologize. You are fake. Go and pray. If what I'm saying is wrong, let the Holy Ghost tell you. Do not provide a pause for yourself.
So let us hear from one of the most popular gospel musicians, Pastor Nathaniel Bassey.
When they say, okay, how much you charge? You say, no, well, based on conviction, we do not charge any money. Not that we don't want money. So while we minister to you with our carnal gift, Paul says, if I minister you with my spiritual gift, shouldn't you minister to us in your carnal gift? So that's why he said to the church in Philippi, he said, you are the only one who has communicated to me as regards giving and receiving. Therefore, my God shall. So we tell people we don't require it as a condition to come, but we welcome your giving.
Okay, what about Minister Dunsin Oyekon? Is this same with you too, sir?
Okay, so for me, the tokens of my calling don't allow that I charge. I remember God telling me the day you start charging, the well will dry up. Clearly. In as much as I don't go into why are you charging, everybody with his own dealings with God. But my dealing with God does not allow me.
So literally, there would not be an issue if this was how every gospel music minister operated. But that's not the case. We have other sets of gospel music ministers who have fixed amounts which must be paid before they move out to minister. In order to understand this whole scenario, we need to really understand the two kind of music ministers we have. On one side, we have those who charge fixed amounts to come minister, whilst on the other hand, we have others who don't charge at all. They simply allow whomever the host might be to honor them financially as much as their kindness might permit and as much as they are led by God. But the dealings with this kind of approach sometimes could be really risky. There are chances that these free price gospel ministers and their team members might happen to meet a host who would take advantage of their free price ministry and totally dishonor them. This is a typical example of what we mean to say.
I've gone to my wife to Cote d'Ivoire, packed the stadium. They charged tickets. It's not as it was a ticketed event, but we went there because the person said Cote d'Ivoire is a Muslim nation and we want to bring the kingdom of them down. There's never been anything like this, so Israel Houghton, myself, I think it was on the papers, Donny, Nico Mullen, everybody packed in there. All right, big promises to everybody. And before the meeting, it was a real warfare because the guys, they didn't want him to do it. 2 weeks to the time, he was paralyzed, the organizer. But they still wanted to go ahead. And a few minutes to the time, the organizers came to us. And before that meeting, I'd flown my team to Kenya. I know this is what we tell people. So we went to Kenya with the team. I flew them there and not charging by faith. We went there, we didn't know the people, we went by faith. We finished, no offering, no nothing. And every time that happens, I bear the brunt. Because I tell my team, I'm the one that has the revelation. You're not the one to suffer for it. So we take care of them. So we're coming back from a place where we had no dime. Then we went to Cote d'Ivoire and, again by faith. And a few minutes to the time, we said, sorry, there's not going to be an offering. We can't afford anymore. I told my team, we're here. I said, we're not going to minister any less. We'll fire on all cylinders. We finished from the airport, from the stadium. There was no protocol car. We found our way to the hotel room. We're about to check out. And then the hotel said, check out to where? They've not paid the hotel bill. I traveled with another Nigerian gospel music minister. She went with 11 people. I went with 9 people. So I went with 11, she went with 9. So we're 21. So this Ivory Coast, they locked us into the hotel. And this is not when I started ministry 20 years ago. This is about 3-4 years ago, before the Leah Challenge. So a volunteer was crying and saw the way we were treated, said, you know what, I'll stand surety, let them go. We packed our bags, stayed outside, stopped taxis, put our monies together, went to the airport, we're about to fly. We said, you know what, let's even go, don't worry. My wife was pregnant she's sitting here, for Zoe, had a little son. And then we couldn't reach the people. She was so hurt. And for the first time, people don't know what ministers go through. My wife said, can you give me the phone to talk to them? I want to just pray for them. I said, no, honey, don't worry, you won't pray for them. So we're about to fly, and Arik Airline then, we went to check in. He said, where are you going to? He said, people don't have flight. They've not paid. So we sat down at the airport. Thank God we visited the ambassador. So we called the ambassador, said, beg Arik. So anyway, they begged Arik, they took us on credit, seized our bags. So we came back, we paid all the flight tickets for our team. And I wouldn't just pay flight ticket, I would, from my finances, give every one of them.
So this is exactly what we mean. On the other hand, all ministers who have a fixed price before they come minister mostly would not face this form of embarrassment because their performance fee, logistics, and whatever thing needed would most likely be paid ahead before they go out. to minister. But right now, which of these two kinds of gospel ministers are really doing the right thing? Is it really okay to charge a fixed amount of money as a Christian music minister? Would it be sinful to be known for such an enterprise? Or should every gospel music minister have a free price ministry like Pastor Nathaniel Bassey, Minister Dunsin Iwekan, Minister Victoria Orinze, and the others whom are known to have a free price ministry? To really understand this, we have to get these two factors rightly. 1. Music ministry. 2. Music industry.
Music ministry is different from music industry. In music ministry, it's about rendering sacred service first to God and then the people. The Levites in the Old Testament were called to minister first to God and his people. But in the music ministry, it's about rendering entertainment. Say entertainment. It's different. In music ministry, service is the mentality. Say service. In music industry, you have a celebrity mentality. So when you are called as a music minister, you have a servant's heart. But in the music industry, you have a celebrity mentality. In music ministry, it's about Jesus. Say it's about Jesus. In music industry, it's about the artist. The artist is the one in focus. In music ministry, it's about pleasing the Lord. In music industry, it's about pleasing the fans. Now, if you don't understand these things, then you act anyhow. In industry, it's about image, it's about your branding, your panache. But in ministry, it's about his name. His name is your brand. In industry, it's about CD sales, the charts, the hits. But in ministry, it's about his glory, the souls of men, and the kingdom. If you want to clap, clap. So how you see yourself determines how you act. So if you have a celebrity mentality, then you will have a pay me, I want to charge mentality.
That's not all. Let's bring on Mr. Easy, who happens to manage a top gospel music record label that houses the like of Judy Kaye and many more big-time gospel music ministers.
Now we are called in driving the narrative of ministry. Ministry is a combination of ministry and industry. God has called you to do ministry, which is to bless lives, but he routes you through a platform professionally, which is called an industry. Ministry is anything done triggered by the love of Christ, but done towards the advancement of God's kingdom. Industry is the professional platform where professionals find expression. Without industry, your ministry won't find expression. Instagram is not ministry, it's industry. YouTube is industry. This microphone is industry. Music in itself is not a ministry, it's a tool for ministry.
So practically, every gospel music minister is first of all expected to have a ministry to fulfill, because really it's not just about the music, as music itself is simply a tool to fulfill ministry. At the same time, gospel music is never first about entertainment as well. It's really far more than that. This is amongst the reasons why all those who do gospel music for mere entertainment don't last long on the scene. There really has to be a God-first mindset and ministry connected to it.
If I say, let me charge, is that really how much I'm worth? I am worth more than that. So, and then does that mean that if you don't have it, you can't enjoy the grace of God?
So over time, gospel music ministers who charge a fixed amount of money seem to be more industry inclined, while those who don't charge and operate a free price ministry are more inclined and way deeper in the ministerial aspect of music. Respectfully speaking, this is not in any way to say that music ministers who charge are not ministry inclined at all. There are many ministers who are known to have very powerful music ministries, but at the same time have fixed amount of money which are charged by their music record labels or managerial teams, which cover for bookings, reservations, and other running costs. In genuine music ministry, music ministers consciously have a God-first mentality before music business ethics. They give their all and lives to see God's work done through their lives, and that includes the risks and possibility of not getting paid. The other set of ministers who have fixed amounts have over time developed a strong business approach to their music ministries, which means they take no chances at all. This, however, happens unconsciously or in some cases consciously. All bills must be paid before they go anywhere. This might sound so strict, but remember, it takes a lot to have a music team and management. It is really a big system, so a lot of money is really needed. However, this is the same thing for all those who have a free price ministry. They also have a lot of bills as well, but in their case, oftentimes they practically have to trust God for supernatural supplies and also maximize other systems that can bring in financial resources off the stage. There are surely a number of disadvantages and advantages to both styles of approach to gospel music, but as far as we are concerned, all those who have a free price ministry were most times instructed by God to do so.
You know, every time I talk about this, I was at Dr. Nenche invited me to share at the Music Ministers Conference. So, I mean, and every time I share this, I get into trouble with fellow established music ministers. You know, I'm persecuted seriously. But it's okay. So Dr. Nenche said, come and share with us your revelation behind not charging. So I wrote 10 reasons why I don't charge. It's on YouTube. So I read it out. And after the meeting, some group of music ministers gathered in the church. So, I mean, my administrative person came to me and said, what message did you preach? He said, some people are angry with you. I said, no, I never, and like Dunsi said, I never teach it as a blanket rule. So is this whole model is, what has God called you to do? So the argument some of my colleagues say is, but we have a group of people who don't charge, and the presence of God is as heavy as it is. I say that's not the issue. That's not the issue, whether their presence is stronger or not. Is that what is God using you to do? For me, he told me he would take me to nations, that as I play over them, the nations will be open, the heavens will be open nations. I was in Orlando, Florida to minister for William McDowell. And God has kept his word when he said, don't charge. I've seen him. What is happening in my ministry can only be the hand of God. It's mysterious. I mean, you know. But so that's what God says. He says, if you will walk with me, and I've seen God use us in some coded things we can't share in public. Just asking you to do stuff, travel here, go to this place, go to this government house, release this sound, and certain things will happen. But because I'm using you in that realm, you can't charge money.
So the message here is to know exactly what God has called you to do and act accordingly without comparing yourself to others out there. But however, it's quite obvious as we see the likes of Minister Dunsin Oyekan, Pastor Nathaniel Bassey, Minister Victoria Orinze, and all other gospel music ministers who are on the forefront of this end-time musical army model a particular style of music ministry, which is to have a free price ministry. It would not be surprising to see younger music ministers who would be raised by